And it's only 4.
Wow.
So
Those are pretty heavy.
it's literally a chicken's heaven.
Yeah. Wow.
Namaste everyone.
Mm.
How are you, Heidi and Catherine?
Very good. Very good.
Good.
Relaxed.
Relaxed.
Mm.
We just had our meditation class.
Okay. So were you there? You both were there only in the meditation class?
Yeah, was it just us? I think so.
Yes.
Okay. So let's begin today's session. Sit in any comfortable pose. Close your eyes. Keep your spine straight, nice and long. We will begin today's session with 3 Om together. Inhale. Now join your hands together in front of your heart center. Now bow your head down and then open your eyes while blinking. And namaste to everyone. Okay, so do you have any doubt, any question about yesterday's class or any posture that you may ask now? No questions? All right. So, how many postures have we done so far? Do you remember? Like forward bend we did, and a little back bend we did, and what else? Do you remember?
I think that's all we did was the forward bend and the back bend, because we had one session on the mobility and stability, and then one session on the forward bend. Then we had the festival day, and then yeah, I think that's all we've done.
Okay, then let's talk about. I think we have done cobra pose and upward facing dog, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about downward facing dog or mountain. So do you know the difference between mountain and downward facing dog?
Not really. I think isn't
A
mountain
little
pose
different.
more sort of stretched through, if that makes sense. I can't really explain it.
And what about downward facing dog?
It's more like a triangle, whereas I think the other one is you're sort of pressing yourself more into the pose. I don't think I'm explaining that well.
So both look similar, and the benefits of both poses are same almost. Okay, so this is a mountain pose that comes in your Hatha Yoga, and downward facing dog that comes in your Ashtanga Vinyasa. Okay, so we had mountain and downward facing dog. In the mountain pose, it is said, and it is said that you have to keep your all limbs together, like your fingers, they should be all together, your toes, they should be all together, your feet, they should not be open like this. Okay, so if we are talking about the stretches in the mountain, you will be stable, you will have all extension from your heel to your hips to your hands. Okay, so the posterior group of muscle, then they are going to stretch. But in the downward facing dog, it is more like a back bend and forward bend all together. Okay, why did I say forward bend, back bend in the downward facing dog? Because in the downward facing dog, you may have seen that we push down from the shoulder, we push down from the thoracic region, and we make slight arc on our back, right? So that is your back bend. But if you talk about that stretches on your hamstring, that is your forward bend. Okay, so in the downward facing dog, you will have both extension, back bend, and forward bend all together. But in the mountain, you will have all extension throughout your posterior group of muscles. Okay, Catherine? Did you understand? All right. So in the downward facing dog, your hands will be rotated outward and your fingers will be open. Your legs will open hip width apart, and you're going to like keep your hips at the peak. Okay. So do you know that extended puppy pose? How do we do that? Extended puppy pose. Yes, this one. So just look at Heidi how she's doing. So in this extended puppy pose, where are you feeling that stretch, Heidi?
On
Yeah, on your
yeah.
underarms, on your thoracic region, and you're also making that nice arc on your back. That is your back bend. Okay, in this extended puppy pose, and you are also stretching your shoulders. You're opening your shoulders out and rotating your hands outward. See, as I already told you before, if you're taking your hands up while rotating outward, that can go even further than before. Okay, that can be more flexed. But if you are rotating your hands inward, that will be stuck here, and you are limiting your range of motion of the shoulder socket. Okay, so what is supposed to happen in this pose? You're gonna open your hands outward. Okay, so in any back bend, whether you're doing wheel pose, camel pose, or this downward facing dog, or any back bend, we are supposed to rotate our arms outward. Okay, so the tendency of our arms is to rotate outward, not inward. If you're going forward bend, that is your shoulders would be neutral position. But when you're going for the back bend, you have to rotate your hands outward. All right. See, this is the flexion of your arms. This is the extension of your arms when you're taking your hands back. This is the abduction. When you're bringing your hands down towards your body, that's your abduction. Sorry, adduction. Remember? What do we call this? Extension or flexion? When you're straightening your hands over your head, it's your flexion. Okay. You may think like it's extension, but it's opposite. All right. So this is flexion. When you're taking your hands back, this is the extension. All right. So this is the movement that we have got in our shoulders. When you're taking your arms away from your body, this is your abduction. When you're bringing close to your center of your body, that is your adduction. All right. See, two more movement we have got, like we remain with the two more movement. This is the elevation. This is the depression of the shoulders. Okay. So when you're bringing your ears close to your, bringing your shoulders close to your ears, this is your elevation. When you're depressing your shoulders down, this is your depression of the shoulders. Okay. So these all three movements that we have to keep in our mind when we are doing any pose, whether you're doing plank or crow pose, downward facing dog, upward facing dog, whatever posture you're doing, we have to consider all these action all together. Okay. So as she did that extended puppy pose. So this was the extended puppy pose. In this, you are stretching your abdomen muscles. You're stretching your anterior group of muscles, not posterior. You're not stretching your back. You're stretching your front group of muscles. Okay. So this is the extended puppy pose. This, as its name, is extended puppy pose. So when puppy grows older, it becomes dog. Right. So the same extension, same purpose should be there in the downward facing dog as we have got in the in this extended puppy pose. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna press our hands on the floor and we're gonna just tuck our toes under and then reach your hips high and feel that same extension on your thoracic region and look front as you are looking in the extended puppy pose. Okay. Either you can bend your legs at the knee, otherwise keep your legs straight and then reach your tailbone high and then stretch out through your shoulder socket or through your thoracic region. This is your downward facing dog. Okay. The puppy and dog, they both are same, right? The difference is it's younger and that is your older. Okay. So in this downward facing dog, you will have same extension as we have in the extended puppy pose. Your hips will be at the peak and you will have that nice extension on your thoracic region, or either you can bend your legs or keep your legs straight. It depends person to person how they want to feel it. Okay. So if you're already flexible with your legs, You can bend your legs at the knee and then stretch your hips even higher than before. But if you're not flexible, see, if you're already flexible, either you can push your heels down or bend your legs. But if you're not flexible, then you have to have your legs bent. Okay, so let's suppose I'm a beginner, I cannot drop my heels down, so I'll have to have my legs bent like this because I cannot push my heels down, right? So one more thing, if you're lifting your heels off the floor, you will have more extension on your spine, and I'll have more extension on my hip joint too. Sorry, flexion of my hip joint. Okay, so if I'm bending my heels, if I'm bending my legs and reaching my heels even higher, then I'll have more extension on my thoracic region. Okay, so this should be also understood. All right, so let's try it so that you will understand this better. Keep your legs open, hip width apart. Yes, and then push your shoulders down towards the floor. Keep pushing down. And slightly bend your knees and then reach your tailbone high. And bring your thighs close to your abdomen. Good job, you both are doing very nice. Now reach your hips high, bend your knees, reach your tailbone high. Good job. See, if you don't elevate your hips high towards the ceiling, then you won't have the same stretch as you had before. Okay, so you have to have your hips high at the peak. And then see, in the Ashtanga Vinyasa, you may have heard that you have to tuck your head in and look at your navel center, right? See, just take your hands up over the head. If you're tucking your head in, just tuck your head in and look at the navel center. So just feel that rotation of your arms. When you're tucking your head in, you will have internal rotation of your arms, right? So when you're lifting your head up, looking forward, now what are you having in your hands? Is it outer rotation or internal rotation? See, when you're looking up high, this is the outer rotation. When you're tucking your head in, this is the internal rotation of your shoulder socket. So this is a slight difference. Did you feel that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you feel then?
When I had my head down, it was like my hands wanted to come in more, and then when I lifted it up, they could extend out more.
Yes. See, when your hands are tucking in, or sorry, when your head is tucking in, and your automatically your hands will start to rotate inward. Okay, you're restricting this limited range. You're limiting this range of motion. But when you're lifting your head up, you will start to open up your chest. Just continue to open up your chest, elevate your shoulder even higher, and then look front in between your hands. So this should be done in this downward facing dog. Okay, once you are already flexible, you have enough information from the floor. See, if you are already flexible, you have been in yoga for a long time, then it's very easy to keep these both things together, like rotating your hands outward and tucking your head in. Okay, for those who has got enough experience in yoga, but in the beginning, it usually happens like we start to rotate our hands outward and then we tuck our head in. Now we don't bring that awareness in our shoulder socket. Okay, so you will feel the difference. If you're tucking your head in and still you're not rotating your hands outward, then we will have shoulder impingement. Okay, so in this shoulder impingement, what happens? Your nerves that comes in between your bones, or they start to get pinched. Okay, so the bone on bone compression start to happen when you're rotating your hands inward. When you're rotating your arms outward, you start to create the space in your shoulder socket. Once you create the space in your shoulder socket, you will have that elevation. See, when you're creating a space, you can easily do and get to the posture and deepen into the posture, right? So let's do this internal rotation and outer rotation together. Get to the downward facing dog. Now bring that all awareness in your shoulders and then rotate your hands outward. Rotate your hands outward. Outward means your hands should be away from your ears. Push your hands away from your ears. Keep your hands straight, reach your tailbone high, look front in between your hands. Now you will have more extension. Now tuck your head in, look at the navel center. See your hands are rotating inward. Okay. Once you get enough information in your shoulder, once you get enough consciousness in your shoulder, that is then you can look front or look down as per your comfort. Okay. Now what I want you to do is just sustain this outer rotation in your hand and then tuck your head in. Just sustain this outer rotation or maintain this outer rotation in your hands and then tuck your head in. Just be aware of your shoulders without moving your hands. Tuck your head in without moving your hands. Very nice. Good job, Catherine. And Heidi, I cannot see, but I think you're trying hard to get it.
I'll move my camera down. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Just be aware.
It doesn't really work. My camera it's not on the top of my screen like normal, it's down below, so it's really hard to get it at the right. Doesn't really have it on an angle.
Yes. Now tuck your head in and then keep rotating your hands outward. Push your hands away from your ears. I mean your shoulders away from your ears. Okay. And at the same time, you have to elevate. Press your hands and then reach your tailbone high. Elevate your hips high. Keep on elevating. Slightly bend your knees and then reach your tailbone high. Now slowly, gently drop your knees down and then rest in child pose. So this is your downward facing dog. And let's talk about the mountain pose now. So what happens in the mountain? As you can see, the mountain is stable. So you have to be stable in this pose, in this mountain. But in the downward facing dog, you can keep on moving from a third position like this. Okay. Or paddle out your legs to feel that more extension on your leg. Okay. In the mountain, you'll be stable. You'll have to you have to maintain this one straight line from your hip to your heel, from your hip to your arms. All right. So not much difference we have got in between both of them, but it's fine. Okay. So if you are going for the back bend or if you are going for the hamstring stretch, you can always perform this downward facing dog. And this downward facing dog itself is very intense. Okay. So it's not like relaxing posture. Sometimes it's relaxing when you are like doing a lot of arm workout or leg workout. Then downward facing dog is relaxing. Otherwise, downward facing dog itself is very intense. Okay. So what are the benefits that we can get from this downward facing dog? Do you have any idea?
Would the blood go to your head because it's below your waist?
See, the more you are stable with in the downward facing dog, the more stability you will have in the shoulder socket, and you can easily do arm strengthening, like whatever inversion we have got in down in our arms, we can easily do it. Okay. In the downward facing dog, make sure you are pressing from the outer edges of your palm. Okay, do not press from the inner edge of your palm. See, when you are pressing your inner edge of your palm, you will rotate your hands inward. But when you're pressing from the outer edge of your palm, automatically your hands will be pushed away from your ears. Okay, your shoulders are being pushed when you're here in the downward facing dog with the outer edges of your palm. Okay, so make sure your hands are rotating outward and pushing your hands and then elevating high. Just look at me here. See, this is the internal rotation of your arms. This is the outer rotation. After this outer rotation, you have to elevate. Okay, this is the depression, this is the elevation. And keep rotating your hands outward and turn your head in without moving your legs. Sorry, without moving your hand. If you want to reach your hips high, you can bend your legs slightly and then reach up to the tailbone, and then look front or look down as per your comfort. Okay,
Mhm.
so this is how we are going to do this downward facing dog. But in the mountain, your hands would be closed, and then hands will open with shoulder width apart, legs together, reach high, and then hold.
Mhm.
Okay, so why do we do this? Why do we bring our legs together? Why do we keep our fingers together in the Hatha Yoga? Any idea? See, in Hatha Yoga, we usually use bandhas and kumbhak, that retention of your breath. Okay, see, these bandhas sustain the energy within. Okay, when you're losing the bandha, you will lose the energy. Okay, so that was traditionally said. If you believe in this, then you will understand. If you don't believe in this, then you will not consider this. Okay, so in these bandhas, we are going to use Mula Bandha, Udyan Bandha, abdomen lock, and throat lock. Okay, in the downward facing dog too, we can use these bandhas, but these bandhas are easy to lock, but we cannot use that retention kumbhaka. Do you know the kumbhak? In that we hold our breath while locking our throat, while locking our abdomen, while locking our Mula Bandha. Okay, so usually locks, in the locks we can breathe in and out, but in the kumbhaka we cannot breathe in and out. Okay, let's suppose you're locking your throat like this. In the downward facing dog, we lock our throat. You may not, I think, right? We lock our throat, we go for this ujjayi breathing, but we don't hold our breath. We keep on breathing, we continue to breathe, and then we start to lock our throat, lock our abdomen, lock our Mula Bandha. Okay, so in this downward facing dog, again we are going to use Jalandhar Bandha, Udyan Bandha, abdomen lock together. Okay, and we have got thoracic breathing into this downward facing dog. You may feel that your belly that comes out, that gets in the downward facing dog, and you open up, you expand your lungs. And when you're extending your when do we extend our spine? While inhaling or exhaling?
Inhaling.
While inhaling, right? So when you inhale, you will go more down, and then exhale, relax. Again inhale, you will go more down, and then exhale. Inhale, and then while getting down. See, in each and every back bend, you have to inhale when you deepen into the posture, but while exhaling, you will release.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's do one more time this downward facing dog or mountain. Now slightly bend your knees, reach your tailbone high, pull up high, rotate your hands outward, make your toes pointed, legs open, hip width apart. So where are you having that stretch in your hamstring? Heidi, slightly bend your knees. Your legs are straight. Yes, this is how. Reach your tailbone high. Good job. And then release down. So for the beginners, yes, Catherine, come down. For the beginners, you may have seen a little hump on their lower back when they do this downward facing dog. Have you seen that?
Mhm.
Like big hump on their back when they do downward facing dog like this. They make like this. Big hump. I mean, I cannot make, but like this,
Mhm.
right? So what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to bend their legs and then flex their shoulders like this.
Mhm.
That is then they can straighten their spine. Still, I have got this, see on my lumbar, I have got this hump on my back. So how I'm gonna avoid this? How I am going to remove this while reaching your hips even higher, 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 and then you will get your spine straight and then elevate your shoulders. So this is how you can straighten your spine This is how you can elevate your spine. Okay, so do you have any question about this, both mountain or downward facing dog? Did you all understand everything about this?
Mhm.
Okay, so we have adjustment too and modification too for those who have arthritis or who cannot perform it like nicely. They can always use the block underneath their head. Let's suppose we have got blocks here like this. You can adjust the block like this against the wall.
Mhm.
Okay, this is not straight, it's not vertical, neither is horizontal. It's this like sloped to the wall
Mhm.
like this. Okay, then you will adjust your both hands here, and then you will get to the downward facing dog like this. Okay,
Mhm.
and in each and every yoga poses, whenever you are having blocks or anything and you are having height from the floor, this is going to be more intense. I mean that will give you more benefits, and you can have maximum benefit from the posture when you're using the props. Okay, it's not like if you're already flexible, you're not supposed to use the blocks or anything. You're always supposed to use the block because that is going to give us to the next, take us to the next level, or to the extent level of our
Mhm.
extent level of our uh, yes. All right.
Mhm.
And if somebody cannot push their heels down on your mat, on their mat, they can all again use the block underneath their heels, and they can push the heel against the block. Right. So that's how they can do. Or what else we have in this? We can also modify that and adjust that with your, like, if you find somebody, then you can adjust them. Like, let's suppose this is the one person who is doing downward facing dog, and other person will have to stand behind him like this. Okay, so now I'm gonna push his heel down with my feet. Like, I'm gonna adjust my big thumb, like big toe, and other toe together in, like, I'm gonna adjust my um, toes on his heel. Okay, and then after that, I'm gonna pull his leg backward, and he's gonna feel that more stretch on his hamstring. Okay, or what else we can do? We can come up in the front and we can push his hips upward towards the ceiling. Okay, so these are the adjustments that we can apply. And if you have that strap that you can adjust on your hip, and then you can pull that hip back towards the ceiling, so that he's gonna more elevated, he's gonna be in stretch more.
Mhm.
All right, so ask something. You guys are not asking anything.
It makes sense. I think.
Okay, so in which posture do you feel difficulty?
Mhm.
Any posture that you feel so difficult or very intense? No posture?
Not off the top of my head, I can't think.
Okay, so I think Heidi is good at everything, like back bend, forward bend, twisting, right?
Eh, Mostly. I can't think of a specific posture off the top of my head.
Except inversions. Otherwise, I think you can do like
Mm,
each and every posture. You can take your leg behind your head.
well, I
Right?
can't do that.
You can't do that?
Like this.
Yes, take your head, leg back
I can
behind
do
your head.
one leg, not the
You
other.
can do. And you, Catherine, can you do this one?
When I warm up, then yes.
Okay, yes. If you are warmed up, then you can do it. And Heidi, I think you also can do it once you are warmed. Okay, then before we get into the downward facing dog, you may stretch yourself, you may warm up yourself. How you gonna warm up? That is your extended puppy pose. You can perform before getting into that. Or if you want to make your downward facing dog more intense, or like you want to deepen into the posture, then you can use a block. Let's suppose you're doing extended puppy pose. You can use the block like this, one block here, other block here. Okay, then you can adjust your one hand here and the other hand on the block, and then push your shoulder down. Move your hips back and then push your shoulder down like this. If somebody cannot do with the both hands, they can try with the one hand only. Okay, but make sure this arm is rotated outward. If it's rotating inward, you will have again bone on bone compression. Okay, so that is not required in this pose. Okay, so we have to try to avoid this shoulder impingement in the downward facing dog. All right. So let's talk about another posture. Anything else you have got in the in the 3-leg downward facing dog? We also try that one, right? In this 3-leg downward facing dog, 3-leg downward facing dog. Yes. So in the 3-leg downward facing dog, do you feel the same stretch as we feel in the downward facing dog? Just perform 3-leg downward facing dog, then you will understand. See, in 3-leg downward facing
stretch here.
Yeah, more stretch on your, because your entire body weight is shifted now on the other leg. Okay, so in this 3-leg downward facing dog, make sure your hips are not open. It should be closed when you're here in the 3-leg downward facing dog. But if your purpose is to stretch your hip flexor, these are your hip flexor, then you may bend your leg and then open your hip out. But still you have to bend from your thoracic region. Let's suppose here you're in the downward facing dog, 3-leg downward facing dog. But if you're just keep opening from the, just open from your hip joint, then it's not good. You have to twist from your thoracic region, from here. Okay, not only from your hip, you have to twist from your thoracic region. Just reach your leg up and then open up and look high. So what we usually do, we look up high from inside. We have to always look up high from outside. If you look at it from inside, you will get stuck inside. Okay, and again you will have internal rotation in your arms, but that you have to avoid, right? So do it one more, this 3-leg downward facing dog. Open your hip out and then make a slight arc on your back. Catherine, take your right leg to the left side. Yes. No, look that leg from right side. Look at your left foot from right side. Yes. Yeah, that's how we are going to do. Yeah, Heidi, are you looking at your leg?
So I have to look left.
Take your right leg up and then look at your right foot from outside. Yes. See, the moment when you are looking at your foot, you will have more extension in your shoulder socket, and keep pushing your shoulders down towards the floor. And you will have nice extension over here. You will have nice twisting right there. Same like in the downward facing dog, we enter into wild thing pose. I think you may know. Do you remember? Do you wild thing? Do you know, Catherine?
This is yesterday in.
Okay, let me show you how is it. You must be familiar with that. You're going to take your right leg up and then place it down behind your hip, and then open up your hip out. Your right leg would be bent. If you're sending it back, your left leg would be straight, and you're going to look at your palm.
Mhm.
Okay, then again move back to 3 leg downward facing dog. Okay,
Mhm.
so let me see, how do you do this wild thing? Just reach your right arm, right leg up, all the way high, open up your hip, look at your right foot. Now slowly, gently drop it down behind your hip, and then open up your hip out, and then push your hips forward. Yes, Heidi, reach your hips up, bend your right leg, bend your right leg, and then press your right leg on the floor. Push your hips up, push your hips up. You're not pushing your hips up. Push more high, more high. Now get down, get down, get down. Now look at Heidi, look at her, look at Catherine, how she's doing. Okay, so now take your right leg up, place it down behind, and then open hip out. See, you are not taking your arm back. So it's more like
So
a
are
wheel
both
pose.
legs bent?
Yes, all the way extend from
Okay.
third region. Do it one more time. Just take your right leg back. Yes, and then push your leg, and then take your right hand down towards the floor. Rotate your hand from your ears, close to your ears. Yes, like this. Push your hips more up, more up, more up, more up, and press your right leg. Open up your chest, and then exhale, release back. Now do it on the other side. Take your left hand up. You must be tired now. Now take your left leg up, drop it down, and then go slow. Very nice. And then keep your right leg straight now. Keep your right leg straight. Keep your right leg straight. Yes. Push your hips up. Open up high. Open up high. More high. More high. Push your hips up and then hold for 3, 2, and then 1. Exhale. Release down to the downward facing dog and then rest.
I thought you said that both legs had to be bent,
Hmm.
but then you told me to straighten my right leg.
Yeah, you have to straighten your one leg and other leg should be bent.
Okay, so both legs are not bent.
Yes. But if you can do with the both legs bent, then you can try. But if you are keeping your one leg straight, other leg bent, you will have more grip and you will have more information from the floor.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was all for today's session. If you have any question, you may ask now. Just be ready for the questions, like when in the alignment in the alignment class. The alignment of the posture will be very simple. You will learn within a minute or 2 minutes, 5 minutes. But until unless you question, then it's going to be very short. Okay, ID.
Mhm.
Okay. Nothing. All right. So sit in any comfortable pose. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Long exhale out. Inhale. And then exhale. Now we will chant 1 Om followed by 3 Shanti. Inhale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Join your hands together in front of your heart center. Bow your head down. Drop your hands. Now place it on your closed eyes. While blinking, open your eyes. And namaste to everyone. Okay, then enjoy your day. I think this is your last class.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I actually had a quick question. Do you know what postures we'll be learning about the alignment of tomorrow? Because then maybe we can prepare more questions.
Okay, so we will do camel pose.
Okay.
In the camel pose, if you feel difficulty to get there, first we will do warm up because camel pose is very intense. We will do warm up and then we'll get to there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then bye bye. See you tomorrow.
You
Enjoy your day.
too.